Well, over 2.5 goals, second half at 2.1. We were there, I thought. I thought we were there. Again, neutral. Bournemouth scoring. Perfectly timed goal. That would have produced about a £7 profit, which for me is a break-even-ish. And that would have got me out of that. But VAR decided to turn up and off you go. So that loss there. Now, I haven't determined how to manage my losses in these over 2.5 goals or second half over 2.5 goal, over 1.5 goal plays. We're going to make a £40 loss here, make a £17 gain here. That's a £23 loss net. Add in, I hope you're getting involved in the Atletico Madrid match. And we could have got out of that with actually a marginal profit on the night. This would have been the big winner for you. It all happened after this red card. You're still looking, even though it is the Copa del Rey and these teams just can't be bothered, basically. It's a snooze fest. But intent, Julian Alvarez, Llorente, Longley, normal first 11 players. Add in Conor Gallagher about the hour 65th minute mark, and they're beginning to turn up. And here come the goals. This made it 1-1, and I hope you started either backing Atletico Madrid late on or laying the draw late on. I think I made about £50 out of that. So I was delighted. And that covers the loss on the Bournemouth match. Elsewhere in the Copa del Rey, it's you either get involved or you don't. Simple as that. We've had Girona, Villarreal losing when about 1.3 favourite. So it's whether they turn up. I did take Cartagena on late on, but a very, very low liability. This is a kind of play I really like. £3.99 liability for a £53 reward. Why? They were well up for the cup, this Andorran side. You can tell that by the in-play stats. Consistent performance. Even second half, they're just consistently knocking on the door. 10 corners. Second half, by the way. 8 shots off, 4 on. That's why I took on Cartagena late on. Keep your liability low because, you know, it's the Copa del Rey and we just don't know whether they're up for it or not. So delighted with that. Sporting Lisbon, rudderless at the moment, playing a Moreirense who are just coming off the back of a beating of Porto. So you'd have had to take insurance out if you were going to take on this Moreirense lead. New manager syndrome, and he's not performing very well. Maccabi Tel Aviv will be disappointed not to have got 3 points yesterday, but there was a red card involved. Did you lay the late 2-1? Because if you did, or the late 2-1 after the red, you'd have cleaned up, but you'd have had to thank Mr. Davids, another professional football Davida, who can't score from 12 yards. Boom, boom, off we go. Late equaliser. Up to you if you took that on. Really, normally a reliable side. Under English Premier League, youngsters, probably a liquid, but note the goals. In the Czech 1 League, there was very little to interest us yesterday. Under 1.5 goals and a real slip up from Paulsen late on against 10 men. Uh-oh. Well, if you'd have foreseen this, you'd have made an absolute fortune. There's the Premier League. So on to today. Let's have a look. Champions League is upcoming on Tuesday. And guess who's in the Champions League? Lille, Paris Saint-Germain, Stuttgart, Inter Milan. I think Atalanta and AC Milan. So we don't know whether they're going to turn up or not, do we? Last weekend, it was an appalling performance from the Champions League and Europa League sides. Midweek, Aston Villa scoring 3 goals. Manchester City back to winning ways. etc. Are we going to get it? What we normally see, Friday tends to reveal what the Champions League is, how the Champions League is going to affect these teams. So we're going to look with interest at the final result for Lille, Paris Saint-Germain, Stuttgart, Inter, Atalanta, and any other European club competition performers, PSV Twente, Braga, Trabzonspor. So it's a Friday. It's pre-Europa League, pre-Champions League. Friday will determine whether we can trust these big boys next on the Saturday and the Sunday. So Dinamo Zagreb, Celtic, Liverpool, Girona, Atalanta, I think playing on Friday. Inter Milan playing on Friday. PSV playing on Friday. Brest even. I didn't know Brest were in the Champions League. So my apologies there. Looks like they've got a Friday encounter as well. Or do they? No, yes, they do, against Lille. So 2 Champions League sides playing each other. It doesn't make for a very appealing match on paper. I will do the research, but you've got that cloud. Or do you have that cloud? I don't know. Red Bull Salzburg, Paris Saint-Germain, Leipzig, Aston Villa, 3 goals midweek. What are they going to do on Saturday and Sunday? Shakhtar Donetsk and Bayern Munich. So these are your teams to look out for in the Champions League, playing on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Burnley and Middlesbrough is a fascinating match. Middlesbrough, you normally get goals, don't you? Let's move on to Soccer 24 to see the odds. They're in decimal format and there's no real advertising. So let's have a look at Middlesbrough. Must be a top table clash, I would suspect. That's what I'm guessing. 2.3 the favourite with this lot scoring for fun. Let's take a look at the Soccer Stats version of the match, which is will be statistically based. And we'll also see where these two are in the league as well. I'm suspecting they're both high up, and it's one of those derby-style clashes with 2 informed sides. Middlesbrough have really, really caught the eye with their goal scoring of late. 4, 5, 6, 0, 3. Absolutely outstanding. Burnley, on a 4-match winning run, are doing it a different way by keeping clean sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 clean sheets in the last 13 matches or 14 matches. That's quite something. So this is defence v attack, you'd suggest here. That's why a side scoring 10 goals in the last 2 away matches are not favourite. Looks like a very well-matched match, so to speak. Burnley, over-reliant on their defence and a huge under 2.5 goal pattern. Contrast that with Middlesbrough. 6 over 2.5 goals in the last 7 matches. 2.3 the favourite tells you the story. 12 consecutive under 2.5 goal matches for Burnley. Both teams have scored in the last 4 away for Middlesbrough. It's contrasting, isn't it? Hugely contrasting, making it a very difficult match to read. This is, as I would suspect, it's a top 5 clash. Burnley are yet to meet the top 7 at home, so we don't know how they're going to perform. Do they start losing against the top 7? That's the problem we face. Notably, they're keeping on the under 1.5 goals away from home against the top 10. So at home, they should be more powerful defensively. Middlesbrough don't tend to fill their boots against the top 6. Make that top 8, home or away. Where's that second goal that we've been used to seeing? Could it be that they're only really setting a light against bottom half sides? A match where I would slightly favour Burnley, and I would look perhaps at taking on a Middlesbrough lead if they fall foul of the top 10, failing to score that second goal again. Strong second half scoring for Burnley. If this match is 0-0 come the 76th minute, you might want to back Burnley 1-0. The end of the first half is where Middlesbrough are at their strongest, but let's put that into context again. Are we talking about most of those goals coming against 17th and lower. So just be careful with that little stat there. A match which is very difficult for me to get enthused about. It's likely to be a 0-0 snorefest for quite a while. Overs is 2.1, which tells you that the market is non-committal there. Interesting though, let's have a look at the overs for yesterday. See if there was any pattern. 1.57, we got over 2.5 goals. 1.4, well, we got that second VAR goal, which was a real pity. So that was unders. 1.67 Slavia Prague. 1.9, again, non-committal. That's just telling you it could be either. And that ended 0-1. Mlada Boleslav and Slovan Liberec, that ended 1-1. I think. And Victoria Paulsen ended 1-1 with a very, very late goal. Very poor performance from Paulsen yesterday. Something wrong with the Czechs, maybe the weather, I'm not too sure. So let's go back and have a look through. Burnley, I wouldn't be looking for a goal before half-time. No first half goals in the last 4 home matches. As I say, defence v attack. 5 clean sheets at home. Superb stuff, really. Middlesbrough filling their boots, but you'll note the challenge table puts it into context. It's against lower tier sides. Celta Vigo against Mallorca. Let's just be wary about upcoming European competition. Oh no, damn adverts. Let's can I get the ad blocker up? I hate adverts with a passion. Let's see if we can tolerate these. Celta Vigo are not involved in European club competition. Worth checking. Neither are Mallorca, I don't think, but they might be next season. If they carry on at this rate. Really, really impressive, the Mallorcan side. Again, with a little bit of time to spare, let me talk you through the soccer stats for Celta Vigo and Mallorca, and you will see a much improved Mallorcan side. Really ticking along nicely. But there is a slight emotional edge to this match. I think I'm getting it right with Mallorca. No, it's Fiorentina. My apologies. They got an injured player last match and it was abandoned. I thought it was the Mallorcans, but it's not. So as you can see here, winning 4 out of 5 wins for Celta Vigo come at home. 2 losses come against Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. So on that basis, they look pretty good at home. Atletico Madrid, Mallorca scoring and conceding in the last 3, losing against Barcelona. That was the Barcelona fight back after losing to Las Palmas. 2 recent defeats have come against Atletico Madrid and Barca recently, making Mallorca tough nut to crack. But 2 recent away defeats and then that battling performance against Las Palmas suggests they might be vulnerable. Working on down, Celta Vigo have scored in and conceded in the last 4 matches and have scored in the last 4 at home. Looking at the away side, Mallorca have conceded in the last 5 matches. So no strong patterns just yet. We can have a look at the challenge table. 12th against 6th and a marked struggle for Celta Vigo against the top 10. If Mallorca are worthy of that top 6 place, then Celta Vigo might find themselves struggling today. Mallorca have only tended to lose against the top 7, but they have had a couple of poor results against 16th and 18th. But if they are going to win, it's going to be against 9th and lower. So that is something we would look at. The overs are likely to be a little short for Mallorca. Celta Vigo 62%, 57% away for Mallorca. It's not a match I can see how it unfurls. It makes it a little difficult. Let's have a look at the scoring. Well, second half goals pervade. 62% of Celta's goals scored have come second half. 78% goals scored, 75% goals conceded for Mallorca have come second half. That would be the stat that I would go to war with, particularly if it's 0-0 at half time. I don't know if we'll back over 1.5 goals. I'm not expecting an over 2.5 goal match. 4-0 at half time away, none at full time. So I think that would be the main angle, the second half angle for Mallorca and Celta Vigo. Wonder if that's reflected here. Well, 2-1 win for Mallorca. The market's gone for overs. Celta's high scoring games. Mallorca's trend. Odd number of goals. Okay, that's a good trend. You're not going to get a 0-0 or a 1-0. Well, you are. You might get a 1-0 with the odd number of goals. Both teams to score. Okay, first half goal. Not really for Mallorca, is it? 78% plus of goals scored second half and conceded second half in Mallorca match. Stuttgart and Union Berlin, another Champions League side. Non-committal market for over 2.5 goals. It could be overs, it could be unders. We just don't know. Got to have to be very careful. But Stuttgart, for me, they don't tend to disappoint pre-Champions League. So I would be expecting a positive performance from Stuttgart today. Lille and Brest, both Champions League sides. So just be careful. And Brest. I didn't know Brest were in the Champions League. There we go. So this is a fascinating match. It's likely to be one which is going to be very tough for you to trust. I think Friday's matches are going to be used as a gauge to see whether we're going to see surprises or not on Saturday and Sunday. Auxerre and Paris Saint-Germain, overs of 1.4, expecting 2+ goals. Watch out for Barcola. He has been in superb form. Not missing penalties, unlike Kylian Mbappe. 3-1, an emphatic market. Inter Milan involved in the Champions League again. 1.17 home favourites, suggesting a goal before half-time. 3-0, 3-1. Any other home score is a full-time scoreline. That would be, of course, if they play to their form. If the Champions League is going to mess with their heads, we might see more of a struggle from Inter Milan. Atalanta and AC Milan. I don't know if AC Milan are involved in the Champions League. Certainly Atalanta are, aren't they? Well, AC Milan, that answers your story. Oh no, that's Friday. Let's just click that. Make sure or see whether both of these are involved in European club competition. We've got Champions League for Atalanta coming up against Real Madrid. And we've got AC Milan playing Red Star Belgrade in what looks an easier match for them. Are these sides negatively influenced pre-Champions League? Well, that 0-0 against Juventus suggests they might be. AC Milan win, though, but losing after. So if they're playing a prominent side, they might be vulnerable. Are they playing a prominent side today? Well, they are. They're playing a fellow Champions League side, so they could be vulnerable. Atalanta have been in excellent form of late. Not affected pre and post Champions League, but when you're playing a newly promoted side, it does help, of course, and Verona as well. So it looks as if I would be positively favouring Atalanta here. AC Milan just look as if they are vulnerable against a big name pre-Champions League as well. A loss and a draw in the last two. So that's how I would enter that match. I wouldn't be paying much attention to over 2.5 goals for this particular match, given we don't know whether the Champions League is going to affect the performances of these two teams. German Bundesliga 2. It is an over 2.5 goal league. So if you've got 1.62 in an over 2.5 goal league, it should be an obvious overs play, shouldn't it? You're looking at the leagues up here, looking at over 2.5 goals. And we bring up the Bundesliga. And the Bundesliga 2 is currently running at 62% over 2.5 goals, which is pretty good. 6 out of 10 finishing overs in the Bundesliga 2. Now, if you double that up by looking at the two teams and whether they are involved in overs matches, you've got yourself a pretty good candidate for over 2.5 goals. So let's have a look at the Elversberg-Nuremberg match. Challenge table will tell us where they are in the league and how they perform against other teams around them in the league as well. Only 4 defeats all season for Elversberg. They did lose the last home match after a run of 3 consecutive home wins. They are vulnerable. They've lost to 2 newly promoted sides, Ulm and Regensburg, I think. Jan Regensburg. Nuremberg on a bit of a both teams to score pattern of late. They scored 8 against Jan Regensburg, who beat Elversberg 0-1. They do have goals if they ignite. 3, 4, 8, 1, 0, 2, 2 goals scored recently by Nuremberg. But it's a stark contrast, though. It's not consistent. That might signal a look at the challenge table. Are they faltering against big boys? Elversberg has scored in the last 7 at home. Scored and conceded in the last 3 at home as well. We work our way down. 6th against 12th. You'll note all of Nuremberg's positive performances come against teams below them in the league. So just put that into some context for you. Elversberg themselves, well, they start having a bit of a wobble against all 3 newly promoted sides have failed to beat. Is that because the newly promoted sides are set up in a certain way? But against 2nd to 11th, there's absolutely no complaints. There's even the threat of 2 to 4 goals from Elversberg against 2nd to 11th. On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 occasions have scored 2+ goals. So that fits in. You can have a look at the over 2.5 goal pattern. It's 86% at home, 57% away, but 100% over 1.5 goals is brilliant. That's a good stat for over 2.5 goals. Trading, not for looking for 3 goals, is it? If it's 0-0 at half time, I think we could have a really good go at that. And I wouldn't be too concerned with that Tottenham loss earlier on. If you're going to follow for a season, and if you're not going to cash out of these over 2.5 goals and take the hit, it only takes a couple of positives to negate that liability. 3 of them and you're back in profit. And you've seen how often these overs with 0-0 at half time produce just that single goal that we need to produce 14 or 15 quid. Multiply that by 3 and you're soon back in the green zone. So I wouldn't be too concerned, even though that VAR was a pain in the bleep. Goal scoring, 62%, or basically 2/3 of goals in Elversberg home matches come second half. It's 64% of goals conceded by Nuremberg have come second half. So we should be seeing second half goal action here as well. Should be confirmed by this. No 0-0s. So we've got a good chance of over 2.5 goals. Trading. If it's 0-0 at half time, back over 1.5 goals. That's what I would look at there. So 1.62, I think that's right. But Nuremberg's free scoring tends to come against the lower teams. We might have to rely on Elversberg and their 2 to 4 goals against the top 14. So fascinating match. Pattern of first half goals? Yeah, certainly a pattern of second half goals season long. I would be keener on those 2/3 second half stats. Paderborn and Schalke. Schalke, well, 1.65. Paderborn favourite here. We can have a quick look at this one as well. It's well worth doing the soccer stats. I wish I could do this for every match. You can just dig out some really good angles and it can put you off some matches as well. So let's have a look. Paderborn at home have only 1 defeat all season. Unbeaten at home. All wins by a couple of draws. And those draws happen to be 0-0s. Schalke, well, this is not the form of a relegated side from the Bundesliga, is it? It's dire. Where all of their other colleagues have gone back up, Werder Bremen, they are stuck. Why? Because this form is awful. Who have they beaten? It looks like they've beaten only the newly promoted sides. They look very, very vulnerable indeed. not all of the newly promoted sides. I thought Preußen Munster and Regensburg are. Braunschweig, maybe not. They sound newly promoted. But this is the Bundesliga 2, of course. Or newly promoted. No defeat in 6 at home for Paderborn. I look to be favouring Paderborn here from what I've seen so far. Indeed. But there's a touch of the old draw-itis against 11th and lower. And you'll note Braunschweig and Ulm. It could be these newly promoted sides, just defensive capabilities. But you'll note they've only conceded 2 goals once at home. And they've gone unscathed. They've only got 1 defeat all season. Schalke in stark contrast. Wow. That tells a real story, doesn't it? 2-2 against second, a bit of a battle, but they just are woeful, conceding 2+ goals far too often. So you're solidly in favour of Paderborn, unless Schalke get a new manager or something and change their performances. Over 2.5 goals, 67%, 2/3 of home matches, and 57% of away matches. But I would also look at the 1.5 goal, 67% at home, 71% away. Elsewhere, goal times might give you some indicator. Again, it's a very strong second half scoring pattern for Paderborn. So that, for me, opens the door up for my over 1.5 goal second half. I did try that over 2.5 goals after a 1-0 in the Bournemouth match. That might work again here, particularly with 8 second half goals scored at home by Paderborn. Schalke shouldn't be landing a blow against the top 13 side. So the odds look right. For me, Paderborn's odds should be a little bit lower, to be honest. And the market has gone for over 2.5 goals. I saw this kind of odds work quite well. I just hope I'm not getting too excited about a very small sample. PSV involved in European club competition and Twente, so that clouds this match a little bit as well. Looking for over 2.5 goals in what should be an over 2.5 goal league. That's its reputation, at least. %56%, so just not quite over the 60% threshold. It's a derby-style match as well, and it's a pre-European club competition. So there's a few things niggly about it. But if it goes to its true form, I would expect a possibility of both teams scoring. But PSV outscoring FC Twente. Braga involved in European club competition again, so just be very careful with them. 1.57 for overs. That gives us an automatic look in there. We can confirm that if you want. The quickest way to look at the overs is to quite simply look at the percentage for the home side at home, the away side away, and look at the 1.5 goals as well. So we can, if we want to really make this quick, challenge table, you'll see Sporting Braga not expected to lose outside the top 6. 3, 4, 1, 2 scored at home against 7th and lower. Estoril don't expect to win against the top 6. Don't expect to score either. So it's not a very good over 2.5 goal candidate because you're over-reliant on Sporting Braga. And you've got your 2.5 goal table here. 50% very poor home record. 40% very poor away record. So even though it looks wonderful on paper, you're going to have to be over-reliant on Braga scoring 2+ goals, which is inherent in the odds there as well. So we're hoping that Braga win by 2+ goals. That's what I would be expecting there. They do struggle a bit more away, but with Estoril conceding heavily, 3 or 4 against Porto and Sporting Lisbon, 4 against Santa Clara as well, with home advantage. We remain hopeful, but we are going to be over-reliant on Braga for the over 2.5 goals to come in. Clubs on Sport, again, European club competition. Just be a little careful with them. The overs for them, I don't know, 2.05. Let's have a last look at this one. Trabzonspor and Kazim Pasa. Trab involved in European club competition, I would suggest. Going through a bit of a rough patch. But again, the challenge table will tell you where the teams they're losing to are in the league. They have scored in the last 6 at home, scored in the last 8 overall. But their opponents, Kazim Pasa, are unbeaten in 6 away matches. Challenge table will reveal the story. 12th against 14th. Mid-table mediocrity for these two. Not exactly setting the world alight. But Trabzonspor do their best work at home. Kazim Pasa, though, unbeaten away. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. 67% over 2.5 goals at home for Trabzonspor. 50% over 2.5 goals away. So that should be, if you're relying purely on this lot, you get evens for over 2.5 goals. Non-committal for me. Trabzonspor's home form is good. And they're only losing really away. Kazim Pasa, awful at home, brilliant away. Don't know what to make of this one. If you can't read it, don't trade it. Have a great day today. It's normally my day off. I don't think I'm meeting any friends tomorrow. I do have a round of golf in the morning, as long as that major storm that's coming doesn't affect things. If I'm at home in the evening, I will be trading these matches, hoping that we get a little better luck than some VAR, just at the perfect time as well, just to get us out of jail there. That would have been an £8 or a break even. What a pity. So I hope to see you a little bit later on. We've certainly got a very busy Saturday, and it's one of those Saturdays again where Friday will tell us whether the curse of the Champions League turns up or not. Be very, very wary. It's just could be one of those days. Lille, Brest, Paris Saint-Germain, Stuttgart, Inter Milan, Atalanta, AC Milan, PSV, Eindhoven, all involved in European club competition. We will see what kind of nick they're in. Pretty much all bar one odds-on favourite at home. PSG, the only alternative. Have a great day, and I hope to see you later.